Welcome back to my channel. Today we will learn about the issue that has been shocking fans of The Bold and the Beautiful as one of the most heartbreaking storylines unfolds on CBS. This devastating revelation involves young Douglas Forrester, whose return to Los Angeles brings news that will shake the Forrester and Logan families to their very core. What was initially believed to be an educational opportunity abroad has turned into something far more serious. And the truth is about to change everything for Hope Logan, Steffi Forrester, Ridge Forrester, and especially Thomas Forrester as they confront the most difficult situation any parent or family member could face. Douglas Forrester has been away from Los Angeles, and everyone believed he was attending boarding school in France. This explanation seemed perfectly reasonable to the family, as Thomas had relocated to Paris to work with Forrester Creations' international division. And it made sense that Douglas would accompany his father to continue his education abroad. The prestigious French boarding school seemed like an excellent opportunity for the young boy to expand his horizons, learn new languages, and experience European culture while staying close to his father. Hope Logan, Douglas's mother, supported this decision despite missing her son terribly, believing that this experience would benefit Douglas in the long run. The arrangement allowed Thomas to present in his own son's life while pursuing his career ambitions overseas, and everyone thought this was the best possible scenario for Douglas's development and education. However, the truth that has been hidden from the family is far more devastating than anyone could have imagined. Douglas was not spending his time in French classrooms learning mathematics, literature, and history. He was not making friends with other boarding school students or participating in extracurricular activities. Instead, Douglas has been undergoing intensive cancer treatment at a specialized medical facility in France. Thomas Forrester made the agonizing decision to keep this information secret from the rest of the family, choosing to protect Douglas's privacy and shield everyone from the pain and worry while he focused on getting his son the best possible medical care available. The deception was not malicious, but rather born from a father's desperate desire to handle this crisis without burdening others or allowing Douglas's diagnosis to become family gossip. The shocking truth comes to light when Thomas and Douglas finally return to Los Angeles. The moment Douglas appears, it becomes immediately clear that something is drastically wrong. The vibrant, energetic young boy who left for France has returned transformed by his battle with cancer. The most visually striking change is Douglas's completely shaved head, a stark reminder of the chemotherapy treatments he has endured. This physical transformation hits Hope Logan like a devastating blow, as she immediately recognizes that this is not the look of a healthy boarding school student, but rather the appearance of someone who has been fighting a serious illness. The sight of her son, looking pale and weakened, breaks Hope's heart in ways she never imagined possible. Steffi Forrester, who has always cared deeply for Douglas despite the complicated history with Hope and Thomas, is equally devastated by the revelation. As someone who has experienced loss and tragedy in her own life, Steffi understands the gravity of the situation immediately. Her protective instincts kick in as she sees the young boy struggling with such a serious medical condition, and she cannot comprehend how Thomas could have kept such monumental news from the family. Ridge Forrester, Douglas's grandfather, experiences his own wave of shocking grief. Having lost his mother Stephanie Forrester to cancer years ago, Ridge knows all too well the devastating impact this disease can have on families. Seeing his grandson facing the same battle that took his mother brings back painful memories and fills him with both fear and determination to support Douglas through this fight. The revelation scene itself is emotionally charged and difficult for everyone involved. Thomas, carrying the weight of months of secrecy and the enormous burden of being Douglas's primary caregiver during treatment, finally breaks down and confesses the truth to his family. He explains that Douglas was diagnosed with cancer shortly after they arrived in France, and rather than returning immediately to Los Angeles and dealing with the inevitable media attention, family drama, and endless questions, he chose to keep Douglas in France, where they could access world-class oncology care while maintaining some degree of privacy and normalcy. Thomas describes the grueling treatment regimen Douglas has endured, including multiple rounds of chemotherapy, radiation therapy, countless medical tests, and the physical and emotional toll these treatments have taken on his young son. Thomas admits that the decision to keep the secret was one of the hardest choices he has ever made in his life. Every day he wanted to reach out to Hope and tell her what was happening, but he also wanted to respect Douglas's wishes to keep the diagnosis private until they had more information about his prognosis. Douglas himself, despite his young age, showed remarkable maturity and understanding that having the entire Forrester and Logan families descending upon them in France would make an already difficult situation even more complicated. The young boy wanted to focus on getting better, without becoming the subject of family pity or having every conversation revolve around his illness. Thomas honored his son's request, even though it meant bearing this crushing secret alone for months. Hope Logan's reaction to this revelation is a mixture of devastation, anger, confusion, and overwhelming maternal love. She struggles to comprehend how Thomas could have kept something so monumentally important from her as Douglas's mother. Hope feels betrayed and hurt that she was not given the opportunity to be there for her son during his darkest hours, to hold his hand during chemotherapy sessions, to comfort him when he felt sick from the treatments, or to simply be present, as a mother should be. The pain of knowing that Douglas went through so much without her is almost unbearable, and Hope questions whether she can ever forgive Thomas for this deception, even though she understands on some level that his intentions were not malicious but rather misguided protection. At the same time, Hope is overwhelmed with guilt and self-blame. She wonders if she should have known something was wrong, if there were signs she missed before Douglas left for France, or if she should have insisted on more frequent video calls that might have revealed the truth sooner. Hope torments herself with questions about whether Douglas felt abandoned by her, whether he thought she did not care enough to visit him in France, or whether he believed she was too busy with her own life to make time for him. These thoughts plague Hope as she tries to reconcile her anger at Thomas with her desperate need to focus all her energy on supporting Douglas through the remainder of his treatment and recovery. Rich Forrester finds himself in the difficult position of trying to mediate between Thomas and Hope, while also processing his own emotions about his grandson's diagnosis. As a father, Ridge understands Thomas's instinct to protect his son and handle the situation in the way he thought was best. However, as someone who has watched Hope grow up and knows how deeply she loves Douglas, Ridge also empathizes with her fury and heartbreak at being excluded from such a critical situation. Ridge must balance his support for his son Thomas with his recognition that Hope has every right to feel betrayed and devastated by this secret. Additionally, Ridge must confront his own fears about losing Douglas, knowing that cancer is an unpredictable disease that does not discriminate based on age or circumstance. Steffi Forrester's reaction adds another layer of complexity to the family dynamics. While Steffi and Hope have had their share of conflicts over the years, particularly regarding men and business matters, this situation transcends their rivalry. Steffi sees a mother's pain in Hope's eyes and a young boy who needs all the support he can get from his extended family. Steffi offers her support to both Hope and Thomas, trying to help them navigate this impossible situation while also dealing with her own emotional response to Douglas's illness. Steffi's children, Kelly and Hayes, are around Douglas's age, which makes the situation even more personal and frightening for her as she imagines what it would be like to face such a diagnosis with one of her own children. The medical details of Douglas's condition become a focal point as the family seeks to understand exactly what they are dealing with and what the prognosis looks like moving forward. Thomas explains that Douglas has been diagnosed with a specific type of childhood cancer that, while serious, has shown positive response rates to the treatment protocol he has been following in France. The oncology team in Paris consists of some of the world's leading pediatric cancer specialists, and they have been cautiously optimistic about Douglas's progress. The chemotherapy has been aggressive and difficult, which explains Douglas's shaved head and the physical changes everyone notices. However, recent scans and test results have shown that the treatment is working and the tumors have been shrinking in response to the medication.